Okay, so at the top of your new clean page, you will write the title. Wonder. Part 7. Chapters 1 through 6. That gets underlined. And then you need to write today's date, December 2nd, 2020. So we're doing Wonder, Part 7, Chapters 1 through 6, and then you need today's date. We are doing all of Part 7 today. It's not super long, but it's a little longer than what we have been reading in a day. So we do have 5 vocab words today. Kingston, I'm going to give you the first 3. Mason, since you did some Mason, can you do the last 2 today? Okay. So Kingston, you'll get the first 3. So numbers 1, 2, and 3 will be yours. Mason, numbers 4 and 5 will be yours. Okay? Okay. Yes, Kingston, quickly. Sure. That way you'll remember. You can put, Kingston asked if he could put a star next to the ones he's doing. That would be a good idea to help you remember when you get home tonight. Quickly.
We actually did do that.
Well, we did it when we were doing the textbook. I don't think we've done it in Wonder, but we did do things like that in the textbook. Because the textbook, there's 7 to 8, sometimes 5 words. Okay, number 1. So Kingston, this is yours. Is the word remote. Remote. R-E-M-O-T-E. Remote. R-E-M-O-T-E. Remote. It has a long O and a silent E. Remember, if there's a silent E at the end of the word, it almost always makes the vowel that comes before a long vowel sound. Now, this does not mean remote like what you use for the TV. It's not that kind of remote. That means this is a multiple meaning word. A homonym, because it's spelled the same, sounds the same, or a homograph, sorry, because it's, no, homonym. Spells the same, sounds the same, means different things. Yes, Smith.
For our questions, it says chapters 1 through 5, not chapters 1
Sorry,
through 6.
it's supposed to be 1 through 6.
Okay.
I just counted wrong. Sorry, it is supposed to be 1 through 6, because we are doing all of them. And there are 6 chapters. Okay. The word remote, in the way we will hear it today, is an adjective. It's an adjective. Which actually is what it means when we say remote, if we say the whole term, remote control. But we think of it as a remote, as a noun. But it's actually a control, which is the noun, and it's described as remote, which means isolated, as in there's nothing else around it. You might have heard the term remote island. That means it's an island in the middle of nowhere. It's isolated. There's nothing around it. It's all by itself. You've probably heard the term remote island before. But we can also use it to describe a person. This is how we would use it to describe a place. If a place is remote, that means it's isolated. It's all by itself. There's nothing really around it. But if we're describing a person as remote, it means without warm feelings for others. That means if a person is remote, they're kind of cold. They don't talk to other people. They don't enjoy being around other people. They like to be isolated or by themselves. They don't have warm feelings for others. That means they don't want to be around them, they don't want to talk to them, they don't want to be friendly. If a person is remote, it means they're just kind of off by themselves. They don't want to talk, they're not very nice to talk to because they want to keep themselves isolated or by themselves. It means they're by themselves. So here's the word in context. So you need to be listening. Who says this? Who are they talking about? Why is this person like this? It's not that she was unstable or anything, just distant, remote. You need to figure out who's saying this, who are they talking about, why are they saying this? Okay, number 2. Kingston, this is also your word. It is the word entitled. Entitled. E-N-T-I-T-L-E-D. Entitled. E-N-T-I-T-L-E-D. Entitled. Entitled is another adjective. We would use it to describe a person. So entitled is an adjective, and we would use it to describe a noun, specifically a person. A person would be described as entitled. And it means someone is deserving of something. That means, so entitled is an adjective. It's used to describe a person. It means that someone is deserving of something. If somebody is entitled to money, it means they deserve that money. If someone is entitled to a job, it means they deserve that job. If someone is entitled to know something, it means they deserve to know whatever that is. Now, when you write sentences if you have to write sentences with one of these words on like your quiz, if these are words that you can choose, do not tell me the sentence, she is remote, or that boy is entitled. Because does that tell me that you know what that word means? No. Because you could be writing she is remote, and you could be thinking that remote means really nice. And I can't tell. But is that what remote means? No. Please sit up and scoot your chairs in. Feet down. Your notebook should be on your desk. We are not at home, where you get to sit and relax however you would like. That is for home, not for school. Okay, if you're right, if you say that boy is entitled, you could be meaning, you could think entitled means poor. Is that what it means? No. But it would be the same sentence. So if you have to choose these on a quiz to write a sentence, do not say she is remote. Say, you have to put more detail. Remember, when you write sentences using vocabulary or spelling words, you have to add enough detail to show that you really know what the word means. That goes for spelling sentences too. Some of you are turning in spelling sentence that says like, he had a cookie. Well, a cookie could be a doghouse. And it would say the same thing. You could think a cookie is a doghouse. She has a doghouse. Says the same thing as she has a cookie. But you need more detail to show that you know a cookie is one of those sweet flat circles that you eat. She did really well on her test, so she got a chocolate chip cookie. That would show me that you know what the word cookie means. So make sure whenever you're writing sentences, whether it's for vocab words or spelling words, that you are adding enough detail to the sentence to show you really know what it means. Okay, this is the word in context. But I have to admit, there was a part of me that felt a little entitled to this lie. So you're listening, who says this? Why are they entitled to a lie? Why do they deserve to tell this lie? Okay, number 3. Kingston, this is your last one. It is the word stunned. Stunned. And it is a verb. So it's an action, or it's something that happens. Stunned, sorry, S-T-U-N-N-E-D. Oops. S-T-U-N-N-E-D. Stunned, S-T-U-N-N-E-D. Stunned. And it means someone has been shocked, amazed, or overwhelmed by something. So stunned, S-T-U-N-N-E-D, is a verb. And if someone is stunned, it means that they have been shocked, amazed, or overwhelmed by something. Now this could be a good shocked, or it could be a bad shock. Like, I may be stunned if a car accident happens in front of me. That means I'm shocked, but it's a bad way. Or I may be stunned because I just won the lottery. That would be a good stun. So stun can either be from a good thing or a bad thing. Okay. When you're finished, please put your pencil down because I need to erase to fit number 4 and 5. Sorry, here's the word in context. So you need to listen as you read. Who was stunned? What were they stunned by? Why did it stun them? Via, looking stunned, took off her t-shirt and jeans and pulled the long dress over her head. You might have an idea if you were listening yesterday. Okay, so Mason, the last 2 words are yours. Kingston, you are done, so no more stars. Mason, you can go ahead and star number 4, which is the word mayhem. Mayhem. You've probably heard this word before. M-A-Y-H-E-M. Mayhem. M-A-Y-H-E-M. Mayhem. Mayhem is a noun. It's a thing, maybe an idea, a thing or an idea. Things and ideas are sometimes hard to tell the difference between. Things, I usually think of something you can touch or see. Ideas, you can't touch it or see it. Well, you can usually see mayhem happening. So mayhem is a noun. It means chaos or complete disorder. So if something is mayhem, it means it is in complete chaos, it is in complete disorder. The living room, after you open your presents on Christmas morning, may be mayhem because there's toys and clothes and wrapping paper and boxes and ribbons and bows all over the place. And maybe your dog is in there and has been playing, or your cat is in there and has been playing with all the wrapping paper. So now it's all torn to shreds. So it might be mayhem. Maybe people are coming over for Christmas dinner, so your mom and dad are in the kitchen just going wild, cooking, and there's food and stuff everywhere. And your family may be in town. And so now all these kids, and they brought their dogs, and they brought their guinea pigs, and they're all going around. That would be mayhem. Mayhem is chaos or complete disorder. Here it is in context, so be listening for this. What is mayhem? Why is it mayhem? How is it mayhem? What's going on that makes it so chaotic? It was that crazy backstage theater mayhem where sweaty actors stand euphoric while people come worship them for a few seconds. So be listening for that. Last word, number 5. Mason, this is also yours. We just heard it. It's the word euphoric. Euphoric. E-U-P-H-O-R-I-C. Euphoric. Euphoric. Euphoric is an adjective. So it's a describing word. It describes a feeling. So it describes an idea. Because feelings aren't things we can touch or see. Like we can see a smile on somebody's face, which means they're feeling happy, but can we actually see happy? No, we can see the signs of being happy, like a smile or like something, but we can't actually see happy. So euphoric describes an idea. Euphoric means having or showing a strong feeling of happiness. So that means if something is described as euphoric, a person, an event, not really a place, we wouldn't really describe a place, but we would describe a person or an event or a feeling as euphoric, because it means having or showing a strong feeling of happiness. So if we are describing a person as euphoric, that means you can tell that they are extremely happy. Or if you're describing an event as euphoric, it means everybody at this event just feels this strong happiness. Here it is in context. Oh, I'm sorry. Here is a synonym. The word blissful is a synonym. It means the same thing. So blissful also means having or showing a strong feeling of happiness. You are blissful. It means you have a very strong feeling of happiness. Now here it is in context. It was that crazy backstage theater mayhem where sweaty actors stand euphoric while people come worship them for a few seconds. So euphoric is describing the actors. So how are the actors feeling? Michaela,
Happy,
how, just like kind of happy?
like really happy.
Really, a strong feeling of happiness. Okay, once you've got all of that written down, go ahead and put your vocab notebook away. Get in your good listening position, ready to continue with the story. Make sure you're sitting up straight, chair is scooted all the way in so that your chest is just barely touching the top of your desk. Your back is all the way back in your chair. You're not leaned forward like this, because if you're leaned forward like this, then your chair isn't all the way pushed in, which means if you start to relax, your head starts to go down, okay? And our heads stay up. Your book should be on your desk, flat on your desk. If you're close enough, that means you don't have to put it in your lap for it to be closer. Okay, we're on page 235. Make sure that you are following along with your finger or your bookmark. There should be nothing on your desk other than your book or your bookmark. So if there's anything else on your desk other than your book or your bookmark, please put it in your desk or on the floor next to you. Quickly, please. You could just put it on the floor next to you. Then it would only take like a couple seconds instead of having to wait. Just leave it. Just leave it and open your book, please. Scoot your chair in. We're on page 235. 235, make sure you're following along with your finger or your bookmark. That means one line at a time. Part 7, Miranda. I forgot that I might see so many beautiful things. I forgot that I might need to find out what life could bring. That's from the song Beautiful Things by Ann Dane. Make sure you're following along with your finger or your bookmark. Line by line, not whole paragraphs. So you should only be able to see one line at a time if you're using a bookmark. One line at a time. Like this. And then like this. That's how you use that. If you're using your finger, it should be pointing right at the word that we are reading at that exact moment. Camp lies. My parents got divorced the summer before 9th grade. My father was with someone else right away. In fact, though my mother never said so, I think this was the reason they got divorced. After the divorce, I hardly ever saw my father, and my mother acted stranger than ever. It's not that she was unstable or anything, just distant, remote. My mother is the kind of person who has a happy face for the rest of the world, but not a lot left over for me. She'd never talk to me much, not about her feelings, her life. I don't know much about what she was like when she was my age. Make sure that you're reading and following along. It's not going to be helpful if you're not. If you're not reading and following along, you're going to have no idea how to answer these questions without looking back in the book, which means you're not going to have enough time to actually answer the questions. I don't know much about what she was like when she was my age. Don't know much about the things she liked or didn't like. The few times she mentioned her own parents, who I've never met, it was mostly about how she wanted to get as far away from them as she could once she'd grown up. She never told me why. I asked a few times, but she would pretend she hadn't heard me. I didn't want to go to camp that summer. I had wanted to stay with her to help her through the divorce, but she insisted I go away. I figured she wanted the alone time, so I gave it to her. Camp was awful. I hated it. I thought it would be better being a junior counselor, but it wasn't. No one I knew from the previous year had come back, so I didn't know anyone, not a single person. I'm not even sure why, but I started playing this little make-believe game with the girls in the camp. They'd ask me stuff about myself, and I'd make things up. My parents are in Europe, I told them. I live in a huge townhouse on the nicest street in North River Heights. I have a dog named Daisy. Then, one day, I blurted out that I had a little brother who was deformed. I have absolutely no idea why I said this. It just seemed like an interesting thing to say. And of course, the reaction I got from the little girls in the bungalow was dramatic. Really? So sorry. That must be tough, etc., etc. I regretted saying this the moment it escaped from my lips, of course. I felt like such a fake. If Via ever found out, I thought, she'd think I was such a weirdo. And I felt like a weirdo. But I have to admit, there was a part of me that felt a little entitled to this lie. I've known Augie since I was 6 years old. I've watched him grow up. I've played with him. I've watched all 6 episodes of Star Wars for his sake, so I could talk to him about the aliens and bounty hunters and all that. I'm the one that gave him the astronaut helmet he wouldn't take off for 2 years. I mean, I've kind of earned the right to think of him as my brother. And the strangest thing is that these lies I told, these fictions, did wonders for my popularity. The other junior counselors heard it from the campers, and they were all over it. Never in my life have I ever been considered one of the popular girls in anything. But that summer in camp, for whatever reason, I was the girl everybody wanted to hang out with. Even the girls in Bungalow 32 were totally into me. These were the girls at the top of the food chain. They said they liked my hair, though they changed it. They said they liked the way I did my makeup. though they changed that too. They showed me how to turn my t-shirts into halter tops. We smoked. We snuck out late at night and took the path through the woods to the boys' camp. We hung out with the boys. When I got home from camp, I called Ella right away to make plans with her. I don't know why I didn't call Via. I guess I just didn't feel like talking about stuff with her. She would have asked me about my parents, about camp. Ella never really asked me about things. She was an easier friend to have in that way. She wasn't serious like Via. She was fun. She thought it was cool when I dyed my hair pink. She wanted to hear all about those trips through the woods late at night. Chapter 2, School. I hardly saw Via at school this year, and when I did, it was awkward. It felt like she was judging me. I knew she didn't like my new look. I knew she didn't like my group of friends. I didn't much like hers. We never actually argued, we just drifted away. Ella and I badmouthed her to each other. She's such a prude. She's so this, she's so that. We knew we were being mean, but it was easier to ice her out if we pretended she had done something to us. The truth is, she hadn't changed at all. We had. We'd become these other people, and she was still the person she'd always been. That annoyed me so much, and I didn't know why. Once in a while, I'd look to see where she was sitting in the lunchroom, or check the elective list to see what she'd signed up for. But except for a few nods in the hallway and an occasional hello, we never really spoke to each other. I noticed Justin about halfway through the school year. I hadn't noticed him at all before then, other than that he was this skinny, cutish dude with thick glasses and longish hair who carried a violin everywhere. Then, one day, I saw him in front of the school with his arm around Via. "So, Via has a boyfriend," I said to Ella, kind of mocking. I don't know why it surprised me that she'd have a boyfriend. Out of the three of us, she was totally the prettiest. Blue eyes and long, wavy, dark hair. But she just never acted like she was at all interested in boys. She acted like she was too smart for that kind of stuff. I had a boyfriend too, a guy named Zach. When I told him I was choosing the theater elective, he shook his head and said, "Careful you don't turn into a drama geek." Not the most sympathetic dude in the world, but very cute. Very high up on the totem pole. A varsity jock. I wasn't planning on taking theater at first. Then I saw Via's name on the sign-up sheet and just wrote my name down on the list. I don't even know why. We managed to avoid one another throughout most of the semester, like we didn't even know each other. Then one day I got to theater class a little early, and Davenport asked me to run off additional copies of the play he was planning on having us do for the spring production, The Elephant Man. I'd heard about it, but I didn't really know what it was about, so I started skimming through the pages while I was waiting for the Xerox machine. It was about a man who lived more than 100 years ago named John Merritt, who was terribly deformed. "We can't do this play, Mr. D," I told him when I got back to class. And I told him why. My little brother has a birth defect and has a deformed face, and this play would hit too close to home. He seemed annoyed and a little unsympathetic, but I kind of said that my parents would have a real issue with the school doing this play. So anyway, he ended up switching to our town. I think I went for the role of Emily Gibbs because I knew Via was going for it too. It never occurred to me that I'd beat her for the role. Make sure you're following along with your finger. Carla, use your finger, it'll help you keep your focus on the book. Chapter 3, What I Miss Most. One of the things I miss the most about Via's friendship is her family. I loved her mom and dad. They were always so welcoming and nice to me. I knew they loved their kids more than anything. I always felt safe around them, safer than anywhere else in the world. How pathetic that I felt safer in someone else's house than in my own, right? And of course, I loved Augie. I was never afraid of him, even when I was little. I had friends that couldn't believe I'd ever go over to Via's house. His face creeps me out, they'd say. You're stupid, I'd tell them. Augie's face isn't so bad once you get used to it. I called Via's house once just to say hello to Augie. Maybe part of me was hoping Via would answer. I don't know. Hey, Major Tom, I said, using my nickname for him. Miranda! He sounded so happy to hear my voice, it actually kind of took me for surprise. Carla, make sure you're focusing. Use your finger so that you don't lose focus. I'm going to a regular school now, he told me excitedly. Really? Wow, I said, totally shocked. I guess I never thought he'd go to a regular school. His parents have always been so protective of him. I guess I thought he'd always be that little kid in the astronaut helmet I gave him. Talking to him, I could tell he had no idea that V and I weren't close anymore. It's different in high school, I explained to him. You end up hanging out with loads of different people. I have some friends in my new school, he told me. A kid named Jack and a girl named Summer. That's awesome, Augie, I said. Well, I was just calling to tell you I miss you and hope you're having a good year. Feel free to call me whenever you want, okay, Augie? You know I love you always. I love you too, Miranda. Say hi to Via for me. Tell her I miss her. I will. Bye. Bye. Chapter 4. Extraordinary, but no one there to see it. Carla, use your finger. Neither my mother nor my father could come see the play on opening night. My mother, because she had this thing at work, and my dad, because his new wife was going to have her baby any second now, and he had to be on call. Carla, focus. Follow along with your finger. Zach couldn't come to opening night either. He had a volleyball game against Collegiate he couldn't miss. In fact, he had wanted me to miss the opening night so I could come cheer him on. My friends all went to the game, of course, because all their boyfriends were playing. Even Ella didn't come. Given a choice, she chose the crowd. So on opening night, no one that was remotely close to me was even there. And the thing is, I realized in my third or fourth rehearsal that I was good at this acting thing. I felt the part. I understood the words I spoke. I could read the lines as if they were coming from my brain and my heart. And on opening night, I can honestly say I knew I was going to be more than good. I was going to be great. I was going to be extraordinary. But there would be no one there to see. We were all backstage, nervously running through our lines in our heads. I peeked through the curtain at the people taking their seats in the auditorium. That's when I saw Augie walking down the aisle with Isabel and Nate. They took 3 seats in the 5th row near the middle. Augie was wearing a bow tie, looking around excitedly. He had grown up a bit since I'd last seen him almost a year ago. His hair was shorter, and he was wearing some kind of hearing aid now. His face hadn't changed a bit. Davenport was running through some last-minute changes with the set decorator. I saw Justin pacing off stage left, mumbling his lines nervously. Mr. Davenport, I said, surprising myself as I spoke. I'm sorry, but I can't go on tonight. Davenport turned around slowly. What? He said. I'm sorry. Are you kidding? I muttered, looking down. I don't feel well. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm going to throw up. This was a lie. It's just last-minute jitters. No, I can't do it. I'm telling you. Davenport looked furious. Miranda, this is outrageous. I'm sorry. Davenport took a deep breath like he was trying to restrain himself. To be truthful, I thought he looked like he was going to explode. His forehead turned bright pink. Miranda, this is absolutely unacceptable. Now go take a few deep breaths and... I'm not going on, I said loudly, and the tears came to my eyes fairly easily. Fine, he screamed, not looking at me. Then he turned to a kid named David, who was a set decorator. Go find Olivia in the lighting booth. Tell her she's filling in for Miranda tonight. What? said David, who wasn't too swift. Go, shouted Davenport in his face. Now! The other kids had caught on to what was happening and gathered around. What's going on? Said Justin. Last minute change of plans, said Davenport. Miranda doesn't feel well. I feel sick, I said, trying to sound sick. So why are you still here? Davenport said to me angrily. Stop talking, take off your costume, and give it to Olivia, okay? Come on, everybody, let's go. Go, go. I ran backstage to the dressing room as quickly as I could and started peeling off my costume. 2 seconds later, there was a knock and Via half opened the door. What is going on? She said. Hurry up, put it on, I answered, handing her the dress. You're sick? Yeah, hurry up. Via, looking stunned, took off her t-shirt and jeans and pulled the long dress over her head. I pulled it down for her and then zipped up the back. Luckily, Emily Webb didn't go on until 10 minutes into the play, so the girl handling hair and makeup had time to put Via's hair up in a twist and do a quick makeup job. I'd never seen Via with a lot of makeup on. She looked like a model. I'm not even sure I'll remember my lines, Via said, looking at herself in the mirror. Your lines. You'll do great, I said. She looked at me in the mirror. Why are you doing this, Miranda? Olivia! It was Davenport, hush shouting from the door. You're on in 2 minutes. It's now or never. Via followed him out the door, so I never got the chance to answer her question. I don't know what I would have said anyway. I wasn't sure what the answer was. Chapter 5, the performance. Make sure you're following along with your finger. There's hair in my mouse. I watched the rest of the play from the wings just off stage next to Davenport. Justin was amazing, and Via, in that heartbreaking last scene, was awesome. There was one line she flubbed a bit, but Justin covered for her, and no one in the audience even noticed. I heard Davenport muttering under his breath, good, good, good. He was more nervous than all of the students put together. The actors, the set decorators, the lighting team, the guy handling the curtains. Davenport was a wreck, frankly. The only time I felt any regret, if you could even call it that, was at the end of the play when everyone went out for their curtain calls. Via and Justin were the last of the actors walking out on stage, and the audience rose to their feet when they took their bows. That, I admit, was a little bittersweet for me. But just a few minutes later, I saw Nate and Isabel and Augie make their way backstage, and they all seemed so happy. Everyone was congratulating the actors, patting them on the back. It was that crazy backstage theater mayhem where sweaty actors stand euphoric while people come worship them for a few seconds. In that crush of people, I noticed Augie looking kind of lost. I cut through the crowd as fast as I could and came up behind him. Hey, I said, Major Tom. Chapter 6, After the Show. I can't say why I was so happy to see August again after so long, or how good it felt when he hugged me. I can't believe how big you've gotten, I said to him. I thought you were going to be in the play, he said. I wasn't up to it, I said, but Via was great, don't you think? He nodded. 2 seconds later, Isabel found us. Miranda, she said happily, giving me a kiss on the cheek. And then to August, don't ever disappear like that again. You're the one who disappeared, Augie answered back. How are you feeling? Isabel said to me. Via told us you got sick. Much better, I answered. Is your mom here? Said Isabel. No, she had work stuff, so it's actually not a big deal for me, I said truthfully. We have 2 more shows anyway, though. I don't think I'll be as good as an Emily as Via was tonight. Nate came over and we had basically the same exact conversation. Then Isabel said, look, we're going to have a late night dinner to celebrate the show. Are you feeling up to joining us? We'd love to have you. Oh, no, I started to say. Please, said Augie. I should go home, I said. We insist. said Nate. By now, Via and Justin had come over with Justin's mom, and Via put her arm around me. "You're definitely coming," she said, smiling her old smile at me. They started leading me out of the crowd, and I have to admit, for the first time in a very, very long time, I felt absolutely happy. The end of that part. Sorry. It's not the end of it. Okay. Who heard the first word? Who heard remote? Victoria.
I heard it when Miranda was talking about her parents, but she was talking about her mom because once her parents got divorced, her mom was like not talking much and she was remote.
Very good. So Victoria said she heard it towards the beginning when Miranda was talking about her parents, talking about ever since her parents got divorced, her mom had become remote. She wasn't really talking to her much. She wasn't really around too often. Very good. She was remote. Good.
Miss Phyllis,
Yes.
the bookmark's on the ground.
Okay. Who heard the word entitled? Who heard the word entitled? Smith?
Miranda was talking about how she felt she was entitled when she lied.
Lied about what?
Lied about her parents being in Europe
What
and
else?
having a deformed brother.
Good. And why did she feel entitled to saying that her brother was deformed? She was talking about who? Who was she trying to tell everybody was her brother? Smith?
She was trying to tell people that August was her brother.
So she was saying August was her brother. Why did she feel entitled to lying about August being her brother? Zari?
Because she actually thinks that she should be her brother
So,
because
good.
her
Keep going.
sister her brother because she's always been with him. She gave him the astronaut helmet when he didn't even want to take it off for 2 whole years.
Very good. She said Miranda felt entitled, she deserved to lie about August being her little brother because she really kind of thought of him as her little brother, and she felt that he thought of her as an older sister. Very good. Who heard stunned? Who heard stunned? Zari?
When Miranda was stunned, she was like,
Was
I can't
Miranda
go
the one
on.
that was stunned? Was Miranda the one that was stunned? Who was stunned? Wasn't Miranda. Zadie? Via. Why was Via stunned?
Because Miranda was supposed to be in the play, but she last second got sick, and so the role went to Via.
So Via was stunned because literally at the very last second, Miranda said she was sick and couldn't go on. And now who has to be the main character? Class. Via.
Olivia or Via.
Via. Because you're even being so close to that desk is making it all shake. Okay, who heard mayhem and euphoric? We can do both of those at the same time because they were mentioned in the same time. They were both used to talk about the same situation. It was mayhem and euphoric. Victoria? What was mayhem? What was complete chaos or complete disorder? What was it?
When everybody went to the backstage
When?
and all the actors were,
So it was mayhem backstage after the play. Why was it mayhem? Why do you think it was mayhem? Why was it so chaotic?
because people were graduating, all the
Were they
act-
graduating?
No, sorry. They were complimenting the actors.
So were there just a few people backstage?
No, there was a crowd.
there was a huge crowd of people. If you go anywhere where there's a huge crowd of people in a small area, well, it's probably going to be mayhem. Why did they use the word euphoric? So backstage after the show, there were so many people, there was so much going on that it was mayhem. Why did they use the word euphoric to describe this time? Colin?
Because they were happy for the people that was in the play.
So who specifically was euphoric? Zari?
August.
Was August euphoric? Or are you just guessing because that's the main character? Make sure you're actually thinking. Who was euphoric? Mason?
All the actors?
The actors. They were extremely happy. Why were the actors so euphoric? Victoria?
Because they were so like they were proud of themselves.
They were proud of themselves. Good. They felt they had done well, and now here come all these people telling them, yes, you did do well. Very good. Okay, so right now what we're going to do is really quickly, I'm going to give you back your journals. You're going to write. So girls at home, you can get out your journals. You're just going to write the title right now so that you have a place to write the answers for homework. So once you write Wonder, Part 7, Chapters 1 through 6, and today's date at the top, close it, put it away. We are going to go over the questions really quickly so that you know what to answer tonight. But go ahead and put your books away while I get your journal. So at the top of your clean page, you should have already written Wonder, Part 7, Chapters 1 through 6, and today's date. Now you will do this for homework tonight. You're going to time yourself for 20 minutes, not 15, because you actually end up with 20 minutes by the time we're done with me going over what to do, and then there's 2 extra minutes. So you end up with 20 minutes. You're just not going to do it separately. So you're going to time yourself for 20 minutes, and then you're going to answer as many questions as you can with good, complete answers. Number 1, what are some of the lies that Miranda tells at summer camp? What happens as a result of her lies? There's 2 parts to this question. What are the lies she tells? What happens because she's told these lies? Oh, I already have it. Number 2, why does Miranda think Ella is an easier friend to have? Both of these come from text evidence. You're using text evidence to answer both of these questions because we have those answers in the book. What are some of the lies that Miranda tells at summer camp? What happens as a result of her lies? Number 2, why does Miranda think Ella is an easier friend to have? Sorry, that is mostly text evidence, but then you also have to make inferences as to why that makes her easier. In the book, Miranda tells us what makes it easier about Ella. You have to say what that is and then why that would make it easier to be friends with somebody. Okay? Number 3, why does Miranda sign up for theater? It kind of tells us in the book, but you have to make inferences because Miranda kind of says she's not really sure why she did it. She just saw that name and she did it. So you have to think, why would she do that? Why would I do that if that happened? Number 4, what does Miranda miss most about Via's friendship? Why? Well, that's text evidence because Miranda says what she misses most, but also making an inference because you have to say, well, why would that make her miss Via's friendship? Number 5, why is no one there to see Miranda's play? That question can be answered with text evidence. Number 6, why do you think Miranda pretends to be sick right before the play? We know what Miranda has to say, but why do you think she did this? She says, I don't know why. Why do you think she might have done it? So she says she doesn't know why, but if she really thought about it, she could probably figure it out. Well, you're going to be the one to really think about it and figure it out. Number 7, what emotions does Miranda feel as she watches the play? Justify your answer with text evidence. So you're saying, what emotions does she feel? What in the book tells you that she feels those emotions? Number 8, now that you have read some of Miranda's perspective, has your opinion of her changed? How so? And explain. So now we've read some from Miranda's perspective. That means from her own thoughts and words. You had an opinion of her before you read this. We all did. Has that opinion changed? If it has, how has it changed? And then you have to explain no matter what. Why or why not? Don't tell me it hasn't changed just because you don't feel like answering that question. I saw some of you do that in that story you read with Miss Miller, The Stranger. There was a question that said, was it strange for this man to come and stay at their house? And then the next question said, why was it strange? And like more than half of you put, no, it wasn't strange. Just so you didn't have to answer the why it was strange, which is silly. Because if some random person came and stayed in your house, you know it would be strange. So do not say, no, it hasn't changed just because you don't feel like explaining how it's changed. Don't do that. I know that trick. I used to try the same thing when I was in school. And guess what happened? I did not do so well when I did that. So learn from my mistake so that you don't do it the first time. Okay, any questions about the questions? Cullen, quickly.
Number 7, after answers.
I know, it's a typo. Again, do we have to point out every single typo? No.
No.
Mason, it just wastes time.
What if we forget the questions?
I'm going to print them out for you.
Oh.
You'll have them. You'll have a printout. I just don't have it right now. Girls at home, you already have the printout. Okay, any other questions about the questions? Okay, I will print those out. You will put them in your take-home folder. Remember, you're going to time yourself for 20 minutes. You're going to spend the whole time answering questions. But everything else is exactly the same. Write the question with the number. Skip one line. Write your good, well thought out, grammatically correct answer. Skip one line. Start the next one for 20 minutes. Okay, any questions? Zadie, quickly.
Since we have 20 minutes, don't you expect us
A little bit more because one of those minutes is usually you not writing. So yes, it is a little bit more than usual. So yes, I do expect a little bit more effort, a little bit more time put into it than normal. Yes, Zari, quickly.
Can I say your birthday is similar?
Okay, sorry. I can't type out your question because you're breaking up, so I can't hear your question. Okay, Zadie, quickly. We have to go to music, so please make sure your questions are actually relevant.
And don't you expect us to at least try to get to three questions because it's more?
Most of you, yes. Most of you I do expect to get through at least part of a third question. Some of you I expect to be finished with the third question. You know who you are, because if you are a person who normally does 2, I expect you to be at least halfway, if not completely finished with a third. If you're a person who usually finishes 3, well, or gets through halfway of 3, well then I expect you to be finished with 3. If you're a person who usually finishes 3, I expect you to be at least started with a 4th. Does everybody understand? Because you do have like a minute or 2 extra. Okay. Stand up, push your chairs in, your desk should be cleared. I already asked you to clear it, so if you have anything left on your desk, it's because you were not paying attention. Girls at home, you may go ahead and go to music.